Hey guys, this is Willow from the Running Injury Free Revolution. So we've had a request from one of the RIF REVers to do a specific video. And for this video I'm just going to be talking about holding concentration as we run. Because when you start to lose concentration, that's when you start to get those injuries. When I talk to people who gain injuries in a half marathon or a marathon, usually those injuries start to onset in the latter stages. They're not in that first half. And what's happening between the first half and second half that's causing that, usually it's posture, alignment, and it's how you're initiating movement, and all of those things start to drop when you get tired, and that's when you lose the concentration, and that's when you move towards the notion of just trying to dig in. Now that's one thing that I really dislike in running, is that we just look at running in a way that you're going to get pain and just to deal with it. You're obviously going to get some symptoms, but the best way to prevent them from becoming either a more severe pain or becoming, more importantly, an injury, is to have a toolkit, like a survival guide, which you can use to keep concentration, but most importantly maintain posture and alignment as you run to prevent injuries even as you start to tire. So I've got a quick toolkit that I have. It's just LRLS. That's lean, relax, lengthen, shoulders. So making sure that I'm still leaning forwards, because when runners start to tire, they shift their body back. That's when they sink through the hips. That's when they start to make added pressure with the heel and start to get ITB friction at the knee, shin splints, and lots of issues with their feet, even pains with the backs and hips. So that's leaning forwards. The other thing we do is relax, so I make sure that I'm staying relaxed in my feet and in my thighs. Sometimes when I start to tense up through my feet, that's when I start to get pain in the shins. So if I ever do get that symptom, straight away relax my feet and ensure I'm planting behind them. So there's the first two. Leaning and relaxing. The third one is lengthening, making sure I'm picking up through the hips, picking up through the chest. Imagine a steel rod from your hips right up to the top of your head. I like to stay completely straight. When you start to bend down through the chest or hyperflex through the hips, that increases your lower body pressures. It makes you really put a lot of pressure too on the front foot, so you can increase your chances too, as even things like hematoma, the blood in the toenails, even blisters, but also again you start to get a lot of pressure through the knee, and it just really affects your gait. So there's the first three, LRL, so lean, relax, lengthen. Also thinking about our shoulders, so keeping them down. Sometimes we run for a long time, our head starts to sink, our shoulders start to lift, you start to get those pains. So there's my 4 real basic tips in developing a very initial, simple toolkit. For me, that prevents almost every injury. It keeps me in a good technique basis, and it keeps my concentration. Another thing that I think about in terms of maintaining concentration is a cadence count. So if I'm on a flat, sometimes I get a count of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, because I can extend that out. If I'm going up a hill or down a hill, or it's a technical course, sometimes I increase that count to 4. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I just shorten that stride a little bit more, and that helps me to maintain my cadence, which again helps me with my alignment. If your stride is larger and your cadence is less, that's when you start to sink through the hips. Keeping those shorter steps and better alignment keeps you in a better alignment position, so you prevent leaning forwards, you prevent sinking back, and you prevent hyperflexion, and all of those things are going to be maintained. So that's my tip for today, guys. In order to keep my concentration, focusing on developing a toolkit, and also think about your cadence, and just ensure that you aren't just relying on just using exertion, not just relying on taking the pain, and believing that you can stop the pain when it starts to unset with just some basic tips. So this is Will from the Running Injury Free Revolution. Check us out at www.rifrev.com.